Okay, guys, good morning to everyone. Let's continue from our study class. So, if you look at here, right, I know you guys have worked on already. So, we fix this image, make it circle with some CSS, change to the CSS, right? That is one thing. If you look at now, right, if I scroll maybe like in the small device, it's also moving, okay? So, we can look at that whole thing, right? That is one thing I have done. Then fix here little bit of it was almost same, just added this on the top, then put this text box and the this emoji right on the side by side, and then these are the few like action, right? Here like add photo or video or events, polls, something like that, right? So we just put here. Okay, the next one is the feed, right? If there are feeds you want to display throughout your you know uh, your let's say when you logged in you want to see the feeds, right? Even if you're not logged in, if you want to, basically when you go to the home page, right, when you open home page you will see something like this. Okay, so yeah, I mean in our case right now we put everything in the home page, right? When you logged in, then only you will be able to see this in our case. Okay, but normally when you go to the Twitter, right, or somewhere, let's see if I'm logged in or not. Yeah, I'm logged in, right? So when I'm logged in, you can see here same stuff, right? You can add like some kind of a, you can just put some post right here, attach the image, media, or some whatever file, right? There is a scheduler. Okay, so you can attach something here. So that is one part. Then you have all this feed, right? You can see all this feed here. Okay, so we created the design for the feed. So in the feed, right, if you look at the feed, let's go back. So here you can add something. Then this is the feed. The image, we expand the image, right? See, in the feed we have few things now. Let's understand this component, right? You have the box, basically this the logo of the logged in person, the name, right? And there is like like more or something, like click more or something, right? So that is the button here. Okay, so side by side, that's what you're gonna see, right, in the feed here. You see that button here, same thing. Okay, next is, so you have the person logged in, or maybe some person feed, right? Not logged in, but some person feed, whoever created that feed, right? And the name of the that person, and the basically here is like more options, right? And then the image, then there is some text, whatever paragraph. So then image, then here is a paragraph, then there is a likes, comments, maybe you want to share, right? Okay, maybe you want to comment, then write the comment here. And you can, someone want to comment, right? If you want to comment, just comment it. And when you comment, here is the display for the comment, who commented, right? You're going to get the list of comment here. Okay, and then maybe the comment has likes also. Okay, so you can see when you like someone, like the comment, there is a like, right? You want to reply on that comment, you can click on reply, and just write comment again, right? So these are the basic, basically these are the few basic stuff, right? You will see in the feed. So we have designed that one. We're going to look at that just now, right? So it's just a we just repeat that same feed, right? Or we can call it post. Okay, so that is the things we have done. So we fix this one, the top one, and here, right? So let's look at the CSS now. Okay, let's go back and look at that. So in our the main page, right? See that this main page we are displaying in our, I mean, when you open localhost 3000, right? This main page will display. Here we have stories. Basically, in the main page we have three sections, correct? On the top, basically left side, you have the left menu. That is the middle one, and the right menu, right? three section, and we have added some responsive CSS, right? Breakdown, okay, responsive breakdown. We have added that. So I also added the component for the left menu and the right menu, right? But we're not going to work on that. Added the left menu, basically the page here, the component, right? And import that one, and the right menu also, okay? So you're just going to see the text, left menu and right menu. Fine. So first thing is, let's look at this component storage. Let's look at the storage component, okay? And what CSS I have fixed, right? So we go to the component inside the storage right here. All is same, okay? I mean, basically we just, let me collapse this, right? So each component here, see how many storage are there? Basically we just copy paste, right? So we just need to understand one. I mean, if you collapse this, okay, fine. So let's understand one, right? This is the box, main box, background white. There is some padding, rounded edges, shadow, text small, overflow, and all that, right? Overflow scroll. So, like if there is a lot of item, right? You don't want to move outside of the box. Like you don't want that item. Item means these are the item, right? This is one item. You don't want the item out of the box. So we say overflow. If there is extra, like if there is the elements not fitting in the box, then start overflow, right? Means you just, like, when there is overflow, it will add the scroll bar, right? Scroll bar, and you can scroll left to right, okay? Left or right, whatever, you can scroll, right? And this is the custom CSS. So we're gonna just add some custom CSS for hiding that scroll bar, right? So just remember that this is not Tailwind but custom CSS, right? So you can give the name and you just write it in our CSS part. So basically here, right, flex gap 8 and width of maximum, right? So we're just telling the box to take the complete width, okay? Now flex gap means all these children inside, right? When you have flex item, what happens? They will be line up in one row, correct? So all these children, right, line up in one row. Fine. So we are looking at one design now, right? Go back here and I'll just expand one feed, not feed, but what is that? Stories, right? So there is an image. So yesterday we had problem with the like making it round, right? So we're gonna talk about that just now. Flex column, because I have the span tag also, right, inside this div. I want this image on the top and this go on the bottom of the image, right? Item center, between the image and the text, there is a gap to cursor pointer. Fine. Now in the image, right, how you gonna make it round? That is the point. So width 80, height and width, fine. We add some class now, right? Class name. So we give width 20 and height 20, right? We added rounded full and ring 2. So if I remove this class, just remove it, right, and save and see what happened, right? So you see it looks something like this, correct? There is a width and height, right, in this box. I mean, we added the rounded also, right, yesterday, but we need to provide some kind of that rounded width and height, okay, in the CSS, right? So Control Z, and also ring around that ring, right? You see that ring around that image. So ring 2, okay? So you just need to provide this. So remember this trick now, right? Whenever we need to make something like a complete circle, we must provide the width and height. That is all I have done, right? So that's it. If you know this trick, you can always, any image you want to make, circle, that's what happened, right? And then there is the span tag below that, okay? So that is all, and we just copy this many times here, right? Same thing. Okay, so let's go to the next part now, right? Next one is this one here. So what is that? let me open the page, and that is the add post, right? So we're going to go to the add post component and go through that. So I'm not using this button. If we need, maybe during adding the post, we will add, right? For now, just simple design. Let's keep it up to there. So the issue was yesterday, I think we get this one. That's fine. That is okay, right? We know this is the text area, and then we added this. So if you look at here, just go, I mean, look at this. This is the main box for this add post, right? Like main box, wrapping everything. So that there is a padding padding 4. You can see some space all around, that is padding 4. If I remove the padding, what's gonna happen, right? I mean, there will be everything basically move to the corner, right? And you don't want that, so we just put padding 4, or maybe whatever padding you like, right? Just add that. Okay, and next, that is the avatar inside the box, is straightforward. Then I need to put this input and the let's call it emoji, right, side by side. So just below that avatar, I have a div. I make that div like expand the full width of the box, because this div is child of this flex box, right? This flex. So the child can expand. If I make flex 1, it will expand all the way, whatever is space available, right? So once I have this full space, I'm gonna make a box for input text area. Okay, and then I added the emoji here, right? Also, so now inside this box, I have a flex and gap 4, right? That means this text area, I want to take all the way. So that's why in the class name here, right, you see flex 1. So because this is the parent box with flex, the child, one of the child can be expand whole area, right? You can do that. So once we put flex 1, if I remove this, what's going to happen, right? See, this input child is not pushing all the way, okay? It's just the size of the content, right? That is all. So if I make it flex 1, that's one of the child flex 1, it will take all the space, right, of the parent. And then there is a gap. How much gap is that? Gap 4, right? And after that gap 4, we have this emoji. So I hope that is easy to understand now, right? And just below that, we have another div. So that div is finished. The post, right? Here is another div. Flex item center, flex wrap. Why wrap? Means if if there is a small device, right? And if this will not fit all the way, then you can make it wrap, like you just want to wrap, right? Like a wrap, that one. Okay, that's the reason. So flex wrap gap, there is a gap between each item. There is a margin top and top 4. You can make it maybe Y, right? Margin Y also, that is fine, top and bottom. So yeah, that is okay. If not margin Y, there is padding also all sides. So I think margin top is fine, right? And there is text area, a text gray 400, okay? For the text, right? The text you are displaying here. So each item is the div. It has the image inside and the text below that, right? Flex column. So the child will be top and bottom, right, in the column, okay? And we give it width and height for that image. And you repeat same thing couple of times inside the parent box, and done. So that is all we have done here. Next, we come to this feed now, right? So let's go to the feed. The feed here, look at this feed, right? This is the main box, like main box, right? All the feed will go inside here, okay? So right now we're displaying how many feed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're just repeating that post 6 times, right? This will be happens, once we have data, right? You're just gonna call that post and pass the data, and it will repeat as many object inside our array, right? Inside our data. So that's how it works. But for now, we just to make a placeholder, we just repeat, a couple of times. So let's look at the post now, right? So what we see in the post here, I mean, the first section is this one, right? Like the image, this is the avatar, and then there is a name, right? So it must be left and right. And then main box has the space between with the this icon also, right? So let's check that one. So that's the box. Each post has one box, right? What is here? Let's start from here. Sorry, guys. This is the main box. Flex column gap for, right? Because in that box there are how many sections are there, right? This is the first one, okay? Then image is second. There is paragraph, and then this is the one like likes, comments, right? And then we have this add, write comments, all that, right? And then again, this is the display comments. So there are many different section, right? So we make it main box column, and inside the column we're gonna have different div to handle each section. Okay, so let's start with the first top one, right? So we make column gap between each column, each item, right? For the first one is user information. So let's look at here. Flex item center justify between, right? Because you have the user avatar on the left with the name and the icon on the right side, right? Between. So this is the div with the avatar and the name, right? That's it. And then we have image, which will be space between, justify between, right? So that's why this is the top one done. Okay. The next one is description. Flex column gap for, right? So in there we have first div for the image. Now the problem was started how to make the image expand like full size of the box, right? Or contract and all that. So the trick here is width full. Our image box, we just give a width full, right? So just image you be the full size. That's okay. We make the box full first. Mean height, we give height of the image, right? You don't want image to be like running all the way. So let's provide the minimum height and make this box relative, right? By doing that, this child will be positioned relatively to the parent size. This is important. If you don't put this one, then you're not going to see, right? So you must make the parent box relative. If you don't want relative, then you have to give different size here, right? Width and height. And we don't want that. We want image expand, contract based on the div size, okay? So we have some size to the div. The image will change accordingly. So we have this CSS for that. Now you can make it fill, right? The fill property will basically, like fill the whole width of the parent box here. And then class name object cover and rounded MD, right? So that is all we have to do, okay? And it will be look like this, right? So that is image. Then below the image you have paragraph and close, right? So that is the second section here. Now let's look at this one, right? So in here you can see two parts. So you might have the parent box, and inside the parent you have child box, which has these two like likes and the comment and the share on the right side. So parent box, inside there is two children inside the parent, which is space between, and the first children has two box again, right? And the second one has the one box. So let's try to look at that. So the parent one is here, which wrap everything, right? Inside you have flex and gap 8, right? So this first left side box has two children. The first one is here and second one is here, right? So the first one has image, which is like, you can give width and height, right? A cursor pointer. Then you have the basically like the slash, right? So this is just a span. You can add it like that. And you have some text, okay? So in the text, you have 1 to 8 or maybe whatever you can add, right? Maybe let's make it 200. And then on the right side, there is likes text also. So again, add new span tag and put the likes, right? So you might hide in the small device and display inline in the big device, right? Okay, you can do that. So look at this. You have likes button in that div, right? You have to just try to understand this div. There is a background slate, there is some padding, rounded, large, right? Extra large. And then the children here will be flexed, like get in one row, right? And there is a gap between each item. So there is image, span, that is dash, and this is the first one is like likes, and the text likes, right? So like this one, okay? So we hide this one in a small device. You can do that. So now same copy paste or here also. Okay, here you have the comments, right? Same thing. And then in the next box, this box, we have here the basically the like the button, right? And inside there is an image, and same thing, like the dash and the share button, right? Share text, okay? Same behavior. So you don't see here any CSS, but it's just a wrapper, right? If we have to, we can add it, okay? And then after that, you can see this part, like you want to add some comments and display the comment, right? So these things we add in separate component called comments. The reason for we don't want to like keep like polluting the whole one place, right? Maybe we have to move later. I mean, when we start fetching data from the database, might have to break down into different components, but for now it's okay. So let's go to the comment and try to understand that part. So in the comments, COMMENTS, right? That's the one. Comments. So if you look at the comment, what you see here, the first thing is this box, right? So this box has the icon or avatar on the left, and then the input field, right, on the right. And this input field is taking all the way, right? Like flex, expand whole way, okay? So let's look at that first part. So the right comment right here. So you have the basically flex item center gap between two items is 4, right? First one is image, that is the avatar. You can put avatar or this one is okay, right? When we need to make a round, just provide the class width and height and round full, right? Okay. So that is avatar. The next one is the index, right? So we wrap in the div, make that box flex 1. There is 2 children, like you can see this emoji also, right? So that's why the first one is input, like where you're going to type the text, and then the second one is emoji, right? Okay. So inside that div, right? So this div, now look at the BG slate 100, rounded XL, text small, padding 6 and all that, right? So this makes that round box, right, with some background. Let's make it maybe select 600 and see what happened, right? Oh, so you guys can see different, okay? So look at that, right? So that's div which holding input field and the emoji also, okay? The only thing is input field, so that div is expanding all the way, right? So that is fine. So we have input field there, and the emoji will be on the last, right? Because it has the flex with the gap, certain gap, right? Where is the gap? Flex 1, flex item center justify between. Okay, there is justify between. That means this one and this one will move all the way, right? Okay, or we can add even a gap and make it this like flex 1 also go all the way, right? That will also work. So the way it works, we can design it, okay? So you can see here flex 1 added, right? If I remove this, let's check what happened. So input field, right now you don't see, right? But it will stop here. Okay, see, this is the only input field, right? Even this box is big, input field is up to here only. Okay, and the space between, that means this and this one is like away from each other, right? But let's make our input field take the whole space. Okay, so now our input field will go all the way, right? All the way to the last. It occupy the whole space. Flex, if one of the children, like you make flex one, that will cover the whole available space. And that is the use case, right? Sometimes, like you have one section need a lot of whole space and the other section just tiny space, right? So in that situation, we take this idea or this trick, right? Now after that, displaying the comment. So same thing, you have avatar and the text in the box here, and then your paragraph, right? And below that will be another box with the likes and reply button. Okay, so let's check now, right? You have the div, that is the box. If I make it select maybe 600, or let's make it 200, right? So you're gonna see that's the box, right? And there is some padding inside the box, margin top, make it space on the top, a rounded XL. That is just a box. Inside the box, the first one is the avatar name, right? So you can see here, that's the first div, because you want one item, the second item like that in the box, right? The first item is the image, second item is the avatar. Okay, sorry, this name, right? Avatar is here and the name is here. Now this description below that. So again, in the description you have paragraph, right? The first one. Then there is second div again, right? With the basically the what is that, likes here. So you can see the flex gap, because there are many items, right? The like button, that is icon, then you have the like this dash, then you have this numbers and likes text, and finally reply button, right? And then close this box and finally close the description, right? This whole main box. Okay, and after that we have let's see, the icon, right? This icon on the button here, like you want to go more, right? So that is the icon. So we can give some space. Let's make it some space, right? Because that icon is very like close to each other. So we can say margin Y, like top and bottom, maybe 2, right? Yeah, so we get some space here. Okay, or we can just add margin. I think that is fine. That is okay, right? That is fine. So we can change this one, this like maybe this background not good, we can change, right? But you get the idea. Okay guys, so that is all we have done. The next step is not next step, but tomorrow we're gonna work on the right menu and left menu, right? Right menu and left menu will be something like this. Okay, so when you logged in, maybe you have the user information, right? Some suggestions like to follow or friend request box, right? So you're going to see some advertisement, so we have to look at how we're going to put all that. And then on the right side might be something similar to this. Also let's look at the Twitter here, right? Yeah, so you can see I mean everything has a little bit different, right? Trending for you, there is some advertisement you can follow, right? The follow box. Okay, so more, I mean something similar we're gonna add, right? So we'll see what we're gonna add. Okay, so I will have to make sure look at all that. Anyway guys, so let's work on the our database, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my MongoDB, not MongoDB, what is that? Postgres, right? Inside my Docker. So let me open the Docker. So Docker engine started, right? The Docker basically is the engine, the complete engine. Okay, this is like a big engine, right? Inside we can run the instance, like I want to run Postgres database, right? and that is called container. Okay, so the container is the running of your software, right? Your package inside the container. The image is the software itself, right? You can create your own image, like you create the whole application and you convert to the image and upload in the Docker image, right? Like a Docker, like hub where you can upload your image. We have seen that before. So I want to create one Postgres container to work on. So what I need to do now, right? So in my README file, I have some code here. So just look at here. I have to run this command. My Docker engine is running now, right? It's running. So I'm going to run this command, docker run. The name of the container will be social app, right? Like that. The E is basically, we call it, like the variable, right? Okay. So what are the different variables, environment variables you want to add? Okay. So the Postgres username, you can apply, you can give a username also, right? If you don't give, then it will be basically, like Postgres itself, right? The default one is Postgres, but you can give your own username. I want to give the password also, right? So Postgres password, again, you have to type Postgres password, my password, that is the password. I want to give the Postgres database name, right? So we call it my database. Let's leave it like that. And then the port mapping now, right? So when I will call 5434, right? And if all these variables matches, like the usernames, password, everything matches, right? Then that means I have connection established to my Postgres. And this will be the image name, right? Here is the image name. Detached mode, run this, right? This image, okay? Once that run, then this will be my URL to connect to that, what do you call that? The container, right? So the URL is basically, I'm going to put this in the environment variable, Postgres SQL. So here will be my username, right? So that is my user, my password. This is the password, localhost 5434. So I'm going to, when I call localhost 5434 in my system, right? It knows to find 5434 because it knows, right, to establish connection to 5432, because Docker will run the container in this port, okay? Because the Postgres run in 5432, right? So it will run in that port unless we can even change this one also, right? So we can tell Docker to make this port running, right? But we keep it because we're gonna run only one container all the time, right? When I'm working, I have only one container running. Even I have 4-5 different container for the Postgres, and all has 5432 port, but I will just run one, okay? So that I don't have conflict, right? Unless I give different port name here as well, but I don't need to do that. So that's it. I mean, we got you're gonna see this name, okay? Social app, right? The container name. So let's copy this. And in your case, you have installed the Postgres in your system, right? You just localhost, like Postgres SQL colon Postgres colon, I think if there is password, right, you can just give the password and localhost 5432 in your case, right? And database name. Okay. This name you can change, my database, or you can call it social DB, right? Social DB, like that is fine. Okay. This is the database it will create on the first time, right? So let's run this one. So go to the terminal. I will cancel here, right? And just run this. So docker run the name of your container, and these are some variables, right? The username, password, and database name. So that is my database. Yeah, so that means if I'm changing there, right? So I must change here also, because if I'm giving my database, that's what I need to connect that, and I change here to social, right? So change that social underscore db, right? And then there is a port mapping 5434 will connect to 5432. So let's run this, and you see the number for our container, right? Let's go back to our Docker engine and let's find that Postgres running. So that is social app here. Look at this, right? And this is the only one running for now, right? You can see most of my container, right, for the Postgres. I'm just using 5434 mapping, right? But they all in the container itself, it runs in 5432, okay? But when I request localhost 5434, it will connect to this database. So my database is running now, right? Postgres ready to go. So the next thing is call this one, right? URL. I'll just copy that and go to my env file. You can see here, right? This is from the when you installing Prisma. I'll just below that add the new URL. Postgres SQL / my user. That's the username. My password is the password to my container. Localhost 5434, and I want to connect to this database, right? Fine. That is all we have to do. Okay, so once we have the env setup, right? Right now we don't have any schema there. I mean, we can test by just adding something, right? So if I go back here, okay, let's add like like simple model, right? Model user, and we can call it id. Like will be string. That is id, right? We have to tell it is id and add the rate default, because we want our id increase automatic, right? So we have uuid for the string, right? And let's make it name, that is string, okay? And email, right? We can delete that for now just for testing purpose. So that's how you create a model, okay? So if I go and create a schema, right? I basically run the like npx command, right? We'll just put a command for Prisma, right? Npx Prisma, uh, npx Prisma generate is what is that? Npx Prisma db push, right? Npx Prisma migrate, okay? Migrate npx Prisma migrate dev, okay? That's the command to migrate your database or your schema, right, to the database. So let's do that. And it will ask your migration name, right? So let's call it first, okay? And then it's just generating, right? So you can see just running, okay? Everything looks fine. It generates Prisma client also, right? So you can see the migration here, okay? You see the migration is basically the built up, right? It just create the SQL command, SQL, like command, right, for your database. So here migration SQL, right? So you see create table user which has ID, name, and email, right? And there is the user primary key which is ID. This is the primary key inside the table. Every table has a primary key. So that's how the SQL command, I mean basically SQL syntax looks, right? So Prisma will do all that for us. We don't have to worry. We just, once our schema is ready, we just say npx Prisma db push now, right? And then, or npx Prisma, you have to migrate first time, okay? So the migrate means my schema now, right, is pushed to my database. How I know that? I will just check npx Prisma Studio, right? If I run this command, it will give me this URL to connect basically to my database and fetch all the table. And there I have user table, right? If I click that, you see the heading, right? ID, name, email for my user. And now every time you add something, when you post user, right, it will be something like this. So you're gonna call it dev, and email will be something like that, right? Okay, so and save this. So you can see, oh, I did not, I think I something wrong here, right? But you can add also, you know. You can see this ID created from UUID, name and ID, right? So this, each row is one user, right? It will keep add, same like Excel spreadsheet, okay? So we learn how to create schema and all that. Let's look at our schema, right? So go back to, where is that? Somewhere here. So I'm just gonna copy this and try to explain again, right? So we will most likely, I think this will cover everything. Hopefully all the schema we need, right? Let's go back to the schema here. I'm gonna take this out, okay? Let's take this out, put here, and let me explain all that. So now, right, the way we created the simple user schema, you have ID, you have username, you have avatar. For the user, you're gonna need avatars. The question mark is optional. Why we put optional here? So sometimes user might not have the avatar, okay? Like you don't have the image, right? So things you don't have, you just keep it optional so that database will not complain, right? If the field is optional, that means still you can add certain things, right? And it will not complain. If you like, username is mandatory. If you don't have the username, then you'll not be able to add user, right? So that is unique also. Username will be always unique. In the same database, you cannot create many usernames, okay? Same username, right? A different user, okay? I mean, basically one user, okay? Just remember that, right? These are optional field. You create date, created at, this is the date, you know. Now here is some field, right? So let's look at the post, okay? And if I explain post, I believe you will understand the remaining, right? The post. Who can create a post, right? Who can create a post? Person who is logged in, the user, right? If I go to my, let's go back to the Instagram here, right? Let's say I'm the user, okay? You know, see, I can add a new or something I can add, right? If I click here, I can add something, you know, maybe it will, if I put something here, then go to the next page and something I can add, right? Or even in the Twitter, you know, like I can add something here. So I'm the user, I can create something, right? So the thing is, one user can create many posts. Fine. So how I'm going to store that post, right? So let's try to understand that. So to understand this, right? To understand this, if you go back here, right? Let's say this is the user one. Okay. Dev@gmail.com, right? Enter, save it. Okay. So this is the user one. There will be post and all that, right? The post is in form of array, right? So if I'm the user and I create many posts, my post will be, I mean, there is a post table also, okay? But in my name, I have how many posts? That ID will be stored in this post array, right? Means one user can have many posts, one to many relationship, right? That's what it means, okay? The user can have many posts. So inside here, you're gonna have, let's call it maybe ID, right? Post one, okay, like that. Uh, or if you just store whatever we store, right? Okay, let's say we storing the only ID, then Here will be string, right? An ID like that, comma, ID1, ID2 like that, okay? Of the post, right? So the post, inside the post, I will go and look for that ID. So if this is the post, right? This table gonna hold all my post. Again, same thing, table and the row, right? Each post will be in the row and the ID is connected to one of the user. That's how one user, many posts, right? And it just sharing like ID. Sharing means, the user store that information, right? ID information, like, we call it user ID here. So that user ID is basically ID of this post. That's it. So that makes relationship with the user and the post, right? Just remember, one to many. One user can have many posts, right? One user can add many comments. So I have information of all my comment in the form of ID stored here, right? And that comment will be in the comment table here. Likes will be in the likes table, right? Follower, okay? Who is following me, right? Followers. I can send follow request, okay? All that, right? So that's what is here. I can follow many. Many people can follow me, right? Also. So these are basically one to many. Users can have, when user can do many things. So that's how you make a relationship. Just understand post, comment, and likes. For now, let's not worry about all this. You're gonna slowly figure out, right? For now, just remember post and user can have many posts. That is all you have to understand. So now look at the post, right? We say we can add many posts here. So let's understand the post table now. So there is the ID, you can add int or string, does not matter. So let's add ID here. Description of the post, image of the post. Image might be optional, right? So when there is optional field, you put a question mark, okay? Created ad, updated ad, right? Then user. Now I need to make this post relation to the user, right? So user, you call the user table and add relation fields now. So which field I can refer here, right? Basically, you give the new ID. Basically, create a field called user ID. So when I create post, the inside here, each post, I will add my user ID, right? So if this is my user ID in the table, there will be my ID. In each post, there will be my ID, right? Okay. So that's how in the post table, you're going to have many posts, So each post going to have the user ID. Clear? Now this post again can have many comments, many people commenting, right? So again, post many comments. So the comment information must store here, right? Like how many comments, which comment user, which comment ID I can store here, many comment, right? So that's what you have. One post, many comment, one to many relationship, many like. Post can have many like, many users like it, right? So also one to many likes. So that's how you add the one to many relationship, okay? Now the reference of this user ID is equal to the ID, right? Reference to post ID. This post refer to the user ID. And this user ID will be whoever logged in, right? Here, this ID, okay? On delete cascade means basically when you delete the post, you try to delete all its comment and everything also, right? So that's what it means. Similarly, you have similarly that we created the comments. There is a description, created, updated at who is the user for that comment. User ID is there. Post, now you, because one to many, so you have to add establish here now, right? From post, one post can have many comments. So that's how you establish the relationship. Same like comment can have also like, right? So now comments one comment can have many likes. So one to many here. So this likes, you see the comments relationship with the comment ID and reference referring to the comment ID, this ID, right? And delete, when you delete the, like delete anything related to that also, right? So we have followers, follow request, you can send the request, you can block someone, you can add the story also, right? So we have this here in the story, there will be user relationship. Okay, so that is all schema we have, right? I hope that one is okay. I mean, slowly as we create all this UI, or basically when we write code for all this, right? I will again talk about that. Okay, so let's push this one, like let's do that. Let's go back here. What I will do, right? Add one more terminal, and then we're gonna say npx prisma, right? Migrate dev. Okay, npx prisma migrate dev, right? And see what it will do. It will ask again. So we found changes cannot be executed, right? So there is some changes. Okay, like we change the user, right? And that's why it will interfere now. So it's not gonna step 0 add required column, right? Username to the user table without a default value. So what we can do is just delete this for now. Let's delete this migration. Just delete that. Fine, right? And then create again npx prisma migrate dev. So now it will say, okay, do you want to continue, right? Because it will clean everything inside our database. Yes. Then it will ask you the new migration name. So let's call it let's call it first migration. And finally we get the new migration, and it added the, if I refresh this now, right, you, okay, dismiss, close that, refresh. I have to run again, I believe. Okay, let's do that. So I will go here, npx prisma db. So let me do one thing, npx prisma db push, right, and see what happens. So everything looks fine. npx prisma studio, right? And if I go back now, you can see all this table, right? So if I go to the user can have the, there is name, username, avatar, and all that, right? So if I scroll here, see the post now. This post, if I'm the user, right? If I add one user here, I can add many posts, so my post information will be stored, means it's just connecting to the ID of the post, right? Which post I create. So my post will be something like this, it's gonna have ID, description of the post, image of the post, created ad, updated ad, user, who is the user, right? So here will be, I'm the user, my user ID will be stored here, like here is the user ID, right? I think usernames will be here. Yeah, I believe, yes, we're gonna put the username here, and then if there is some comment will be here. If there, I liked something, will be here information, right? Like their ID, comments is a table itself, likes is a table itself, right? So when I create likes, that information is stored in the like table, comment will stored in the comment table, right? And their ID will be stored here, whatever I want to store, basically the unique ID, right, stored here. So I know which ID comment I have made, right, that related to me, okay, or my post, right? So that's how it looks, right? Slowly when we keep working, we're gonna go again on all of these things, and I'll try to explain, right? If you have any doubt, just ask me. So I will stop here, guys, and then tomorrow what we're going to do is add the right side, basically what you call that, UI, right, and the left one, left side also. So these are the two things we're going to work on tomorrow. Okay, let me stop here.